When you want to hear about games and only games, look no further. This is the Games Only Podcast, your number one source for video game news, reviews, and opinions. With HP 1703.
In death, as in life, I shall honor my brothers.
Dr. Gumar.
The boss is here at last, boys.
And myself, Sunflower.
Fresh victim.
Games Only Podcast on iTunes and YouTube.
Hello and welcome to the Games Only Podcast, episode 34. I'm HP 1703, and I have a secret Twitter account.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. To my east, man with a secret identity. It's Dr. Gumar.
Yes, my name is not my name. Hi.
That works. And to my south and west, a man with a secret room where he does things, secret things. It's Sunflower 4000.
Hello, I'm on my best behavior today.
Bullshit. Let's talk about games, shall we?
Sure, let's do it.
This is going swimmingly.
We're fine.
Let's talk about this downloadable title that we've all been playing this week. The filth vehicle, Fez. Now, his thoughts have already been spoiled if you have seen his video review on sites like YouTube or Digital Noob. So let's start with Doc. Tell me a little bit about your experience with Fez. What is Fez?
Well, Fez is usually a red felt cap that covers a bald spot on an aging gentleman.
Covers a bald spot? Really?
Yes.
How have you... Now, is this game licensed through the Shriners anyway?
No, I don't think so. Fez is I guess the best way to describe it is an exploration game.
Okay.
Because there's not really much game, I want to say, except for exploration in there, in which you're this cool little 2D guy named Gomez, and all of a sudden he realizes that there's a third dimension. So the entire game, you are rotating between 4 separate 2D planes. So there's a third dimension, but you're still playing in 2D at all time, and you can just rotate around by 90 degrees in the Z-axis. Yeah, Z-axis. You could rotate
make it
around
sound so clinical and
by
boring.
90 degrees.
Is it boring?
I don't know, Sonny. You played it. You can tell me if it is boring.
I was just curious if you thought that the game was boring at all, because I did not feel that way.
You know, I
played.
thought going into it I was, because there doesn't seem to be much of a game back there. All there is the exploration. You're just tasked with, okay, open world, collect these cubes, and maybe go somewhere with these cubes. That's pretty much all they tell you after you get the ability to look in the other dimensions to rotate your world around. And I don't really like games with no direction. I'm getting to the point where, okay, just tell me what the fuck to do, and I'm going to go and do it. And we're all going to have a Twinkie at the end and be happy. This, though, I really enjoyed it. Just the exploration was stellar, because even though it's simple, like 8-bit, 16-bit graphics, it's quite stunning. I found it extremely beautiful. What do you guys think about the environment, the world of Fez?
Yeah, it's got a fantastic art style. It's really creatively done. It's not a 2D environment, because everything is in 3D. But everything has a 2D feel to it, and it's really remarkable to pull off something like this, where you're creating objects in 3 dimensions, but they all have a very 2D feel to them. Also, what do you guys think about the soundtrack?
I believe it complements the visuals perfectly.
It does,
and
as
really
well.
goes a long way towards not really immersing yourself in the world, but making it kind of low impact and not a big deal. It's relaxing in a good way, and it's pretty.
And there's also areas that the music goes along with the platforming, like platforms will appear and it'll make a noise in the music track. So you can kind of be like, okay, well, I kind of memorized the song, so now I know how to jump across here, that type of feel. So it does complement everything in the game quite well.
So, humor me. For those of you who have not seen Sonny's video review, first of all, you should. Second of all, Sonny, tell me how you feel about this game. I know full well you are a puzzle game hater.
Haterade. I'm drinking on the Haterade.
I think you're the president of the Puzzle Game Hater Association.
Yeah, we call it fuck puzzles. But, which could very well have a different
I think you got into trouble double booking a convention center with someone else under that name.
But yeah, I hate puzzles, but I enjoyed this so far. There's 2 layers to the game, if you will. One is the layer on the surface, which is jump around, collect little cubes, good times, explore. The other layer is, hey, you're done collecting these cubes that you could see? Well, guess what? All those places you've been, you probably haven't found all the cubes. You can do some really crazy stuff. Oh, okay. What do I have to do? Oh, you got to do things like translate languages. Yep, and figure out numbering systems. And figure out what basically everything means. I'm not doing it, but Doc is.
Yeah, actually,
yeah?
I am, surprisingly, because I blasted through this game. Well, first of all, the map is interesting. It's a 3-dimensional map that connects everything, and on the map it can tell you if you found everything inside of each individual world, each individual scene you're in. So it'll tell you if there's a secret anti-cube in there, or keys, treasure chest, stuff like that. So it's relatively simple to be able to tell, okay, am I done with this area? Do I have to move on? But yeah, I mean, I blasted through the game. I think I beat it at 107% or something like that, and I kept playing, and I'm up to 187.5%. I was able to translate the number system, and whoever made that number system is a fucking asshole.
Why? It's just numbers.
Dude, it's terrible. Well, I mean, it's
like the babyest alphabet there is.
Numbers, the babyest alphabet.
Is clever because it is a puzzle game, so it's not going to be like a perfect translation for 1 equals this, 2 equals that. So there's a little hook in there that it's really rewarding when you figure out. But the way you figure out how to translate these things, there's also patterns across the world that tell you a certain input to put in, kind of like a Konami code input, up, down, left, stuff like that. And there's different areas which will tell you, okay, how to do it. So you kind of have to pay attention to where you are, like what's on the back. Like I learned how to do what the number system was from a classroom that just had shit on the wall, and you actually can look at it and you can realize, well, those are equations. Okay, so this means that. Okay, it kind of makes sense now.
Okay.
Same thing. I'm assuming the same thing with the alphabet. I'm scared shitless of figuring out how the alphabet works because the number system was bad enough. I can't imagine how terrible the alphabet's going to be to try and translate.
You could do what I do and just put it down.
I could, but I'm kind of having fun doing it though. It's rewarding.
Oh, look! I'm looking at these notes we've got, and I see that you've played Fez, Doc, and I've played Fez. It says HP's played Fez, but we haven't got any of his thoughts on it yet. I want to know.
Well.
I gotta know what this is all about. I gotta see him identify who he really is.
Okay. I think in your video review you said something about you will only get out of this game what you put in, and I haven't had much time nor mental capacity to put into this game, so I haven't really gotten anything out of it. In all honesty, I have only scratched the surface and have been fairly bored with that surface.
All right.
So I know that there's a deeper game there. I only think I have like 8 of the cubes, so I'm not even anywhere near. I'm like a quarter of the way through the surface level of the game.
I got a hint early on that really helped me. When doors are closed, that means you've not been in them.
That's one of the nicest parts.
Yeah.
They will, if you went through to the next world through that door, they'd leave it open the entire game.
Yeah, that's nice. Basically, my brain has been oscillating between something resembling cottage cheese and something resembling a completely saturated sponge for the past week since this game came out, and
You're looking forward to getting into it this week.
I'm looking forward to being in a place where I'm not just looking to relax, where I'm looking to have an enjoyable, perhaps challenging experience.
That means tomorrow.
Sure.
Well, that's a shame that you haven't been able to put too much time in it, and it also didn't grab you as strongly and masculinely as it did to me.
Well, yeah.
By the balls, in other words.
I think people who maybe try the trial may not be able to see all the extra depth that this game has. So this is not a game where I think we can just say, hey, just try the trial, because you only get that surface level, and it's really not. It didn't hook me. I think it's
the novelty of rotating the world does get old rather quickly. The enjoyment comes to looking at the different worlds, the different pieces, and just the variation of puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
If you like looking for hidden meanings, if you enjoyed watching Lost and going over it every week when it was on TV, there's a lot to like about Fez.
Yeah.
Plus, it's only 800 Microsoft points, so it's not that 1,200, that $15. So it's only $10. So it's not.
And the little animals look so cute.
They do.
That's true. And Fezes are cool. All right. Well, so
you told people that not to try the trial. However, there is a trial that you have tried that is indeed a true trial.
You tried the trial of trials.
I did.
I put trial in your trial.
That also came out this week, Trials Evolution. I don't have...
It's killing me that I have not been able to purchase this.
Did you play the first one?
And I loved it.
Okay. And HD as well?
Isn't that the first one?
I think that is the first one.
Well, there's Okay, so there's Trials HD, and then there's something else. There was a second one, wasn't there?
Not to my knowledge. I missed it if there was.
Okay.
But this is something I really want.
All right. So, Doc, you have the full version of this game?
I do.
And what are your thoughts?
It's a really simplistic racing game. I enjoy it because I do enjoy the whole score attack, time attack thing that you do not enjoy, HP, if I recall correctly. You hate scores.
Hang on, it's a racing game. I didn't know you had to race other people.
Well, you're not quite racing other people, but every single level you see, like, everybody on your friends list that has raced that track, there's a little dot on the screen with their name above it.
So you race alone.
Like a ghost.
It's kind of like racing a ghost, except it's not. You don't actually see the motorcycle racing, but it's kind of cool because you can see where they speed up and they slow down, but you can't really see the orientation of their bike to help you out.
So I was thinking Mario Kart when you said that, but thank goodness it's not like that.
No, it's just a dot.
Yeah.
Is it a side-scroller, or is it a full driving simulator?
I guess it would be a side-scroller.
Yeah,
okay.
You're pretty much on a 2D plane.
Yeah.
2.5D, pretend it's like Street Fighter 4. Everything's rendered in 3D, but you're on a 2D plane.
The difference... The addition to this version that wasn't in the first is that there is multiplayer in this one, and you can play with up to 4 people on the same track at the same time.
That's cool.
I think it's called Supercross mode or something like that. But other than that, the core gameplay has ghosts, which are just dots, and you can turn that off too. If you don't want to be distracted.
I kind of like it though, because it makes you feel like you're actually chasing something.
Right.
Well, that's just me. But you don't.
So a game like the previous Trials, which I really liked, in spite of myself. It doesn't seem like the kind of game that HP would like. And Doc, you said that you heard something about HP hating this. Is this true, HP?
No, I said he hates scores because every time scores are brought up or times, he just kind of throws a fit. Like when I say essentially...
Don't try to cover for him.
When I say essentially, you go... then everybody runs away.
I do. I gurgle and scream.
Give us the lowdown. Give us the raw...
No, this is...
yeah, just hit it raw.
This game hits on two kind of gaming tropes that I find very useless. Leaderboards and score attacks. It's all about playing the same tracks over and over again and shaving fractions of seconds off your time. And
You're lucky you weren't born in the 80s.
I was born in the 80s.
You would have hated video games when you were young.
I didn't hate video games when I was younger.
This is why it's so puzzling to me.
I liked Mario and Contra and sports games.
They had scores. Sports games definitely have scores.
Let's throw the scores out. Is the game enjoyable at all for you?
For me, no. But I can see how. I can see it is very well put together. They've added all sorts of crazy stuff to the backgrounds, all sorts of explosions, and
I saw a Limbo level. I was like, ooh, Limbo.
Not just to the backgrounds though, that those elements are actually in the races now. Like I just did one that was in a sewage plant or something like that, and there's water bursting out of pipes, and that helps propel you across some parts.
Oh, that's sweet.
So they do that like that.
If you like the first one, I think this one is not just more of the same. I think they've improved a lot of things.
And I know they have a really advanced track editor. You can make your own tracks now. I haven't messed with that because that's not how my brain works. I don't really like to do any user-created content on my own.
They have a light editor and like a professional editor. So they have two different kind of editing software packages or whatever within the game, and you can just do the light one if you just want to like put down some stuff and try it out, and if you really want to tweak the levels, they have kind of a harder core level editor system. So that's really cool. And
I say the worst part about this game is the fucking soundtrack. Seriously, so I load up the game, and it has one of those unskippable sequences in which it shows the developer, all the software they used. Not like a skippable one you can go quickly through. And there's like this terrible rap song playing that sounds like straight out like 1998.
I know, I loved it.
And then you're racing, and there's like this terrible metal song that sounds like it's straight out of 1998.
So good. So good.
It's so bad.
No, it's the best part of this game.
Corny.
Oh, yes. That's why this game is, the good parts of this game are in its ridiculousness.
I think it would be alright if it was just like guitar riffs, but there's actually like vocals, like, yeah! It's like James Hetfield when he blew his voice, he's like, yeah!
It's awesome. Soundtrack is great. Better than Fez. You heard it here first. Put that on the box.
HP says, soundtrack is better than Fez.
That's right.
But the rest of the game sucks ass.
No, it's very well put together. It's just not my thing.
I mean, I just like how it's a racing game, but it's very minute in the controls. You have gas, you have brake, then you have lean forward and lean backwards, and that's it. That's all you have, and based on little things you can do in every jump and every straightaway, you can make your time better, you can make your time worse, and I kind of like that.
It's easy to learn, hard to master, one of those kind of games.
Yeah, pretty much, because, I mean, if you just want to finish the course, you can restart at checkpoints. Your time keeps increasing, though. It's not like it's going to restart you at the time you cross that checkpoint, so there's no real benefit to doing that. I just restart from the beginning of the course. So it's kind of tedious after a while, redoing a course over and over again, but somewhat rewarding when you actually do a perfect run and you get to the end of a really hard course. I think I'm about maybe halfway through. I'm coming up on the next. I have an A license, so I have the third motorcycle, and I'm coming up on the next licensing test. shortly. So I'm trying to blast through that. But I'm at the point where these courses are getting really, really hard, and I do not want a gold medal every single course.
Right.
Unlike, the first easier ones where it's like, yeah, I can gold medal that. Let me just run through this real quick, and it's not as tedious.
Yeah, and to the game's benefit, it is super easy and fast to restart the level, to restart from checkpoints.
Oh, yeah, no load time whatsoever.
Yeah, it's instant, and it really has to be for this game. But yeah, it's done really, really well. It's just not gameplay that
not your cup of tea.
Yeah. So I recommend Sonny pick this game up because you liked the first one.
Oh man, I can't wait, but I'm poor, so I can't do it yet. But I will.
Okay.
No, you happen to be so poor that you went back and revisited a game you played about a month ago?
Nope,
you didn't.
Okay.
Which game are you referring to? Are you referring to Journey?
Well, the one
Yes.
I happen to say revisited, and there's in the doc it says revisited right in front of the word Journey.
I get where you were going with that.
I was bored one night, and I said, you know what? Let's stream some Journey. Show some people that have never seen it. Whatever. So I started playing, and I met up with a dude, and he stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I played with him all the way through the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an experience unlike any other game that's given me. It was completely different than my first time through. Not in what happened, but everything was different to me. It was good. It was touching. It was moving. And I don't ever want to play it again because I don't want to ruin that. It was really memorable, and it was really important, and I loved it. And I'm on the Journey bandwagon. Journey is wonderful. You have to play it, but you have to find someone you can take care of.
So you had an experience like HP?
Yeah. I mean, you said that you went with somebody else for almost everything at the end, right?
Yeah, the whole game with one person.
God, that's something else. It was something special.
And it was clear. It was clear that neither of us had played the game.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So did you kind of lead this other person, or had the other person obviously played the game before? Did you kind of both know where you were going?
I think we both knew, but it wasn't obvious in the gameplay that we knew.
Okay.
It's not like someone's going to put their controller down and walk away to take care of a screaming child. Because who knows? But it was special. It was touching, and it was.
I really want to know. Give me specifics. Why?
Yeah, this
so
just sounds like a Maury show. You're just like, yes, it was a wonderful experience.
It was a mix between what you're doing and you're flying around, and then the whole metaphor that they used for dying and then going to heaven, and you were with your friend. It felt like the end, and it was almost indescribable, as you can tell.
Yeah,
but
there's
something there that I don't get to feel in anything else, which I'm sure I could, but it was, like I said, it was special, and I don't want to play it again because I don't want to cheapen that moment, because that was very, very, how do you say, it was profound to me. It was special, and I don't ever want to miss that. Perhaps you can tell me more about Journey, HP, because my dog has decided to start eating my bed.
Okay, I would love to tell you about Journey right now.
I'm kidding. I got her attention.
Okay.
She was starting to chew on sheets, and that is not really a good idea for a dog, is it?
Bone-flavored sheets.
I make them out of
bacon sheets.
In your secret room, I get it.
Bacon blankets. But yeah, Journey is something else, and if you've played through it and you had an experience like I did, it's really a roll of the dice what kind of experience you're going to get. But I had the one that HP had in a way, and it was special and totally redeemed the game in every way to me, every single way. I felt what I was supposed to feel. The people who made the game had their way with me, the way that they wanted to, and I no regrets. Wonderful game.
Yeah, and we do have to reiterate it is the experience will vary, and I think maybe that's why it's so profound when you find someone that you have a good experience
no
with.
Control over it.
Yeah, right.
Very well
it's not
could
your
be.
friend. You don't know this person, but it's just there's a deep connection that occurs that I don't know that I've experienced in any other game. And I think part of it is that it's not marred by the fact that this idiot on the other end can talk to me or say something stupid or be racist or ignorant or...
Yo, what up, homie? Watch me fly.
Right? That would totally ruin it. So the fact that it's just these little chirps, I think really is more important to the experience than perhaps we all realized at first.
Until you realize he's chirping in Morse code and it just says "Yo, dog." DAWG, and you're like, God damn it!
If he's doing that and I'm able to somehow translate Morse code, I think that's another awesome connection. Because I'd be like, "Sup, dog? Beep 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 beep."
Who you rolling with?
What's Shiota?
Yeah, Journey is a special game, and I'm glad I went back to it. Very glad.
Let's talk about another game that you went back to, unless your dog is eating your thoughts on Witcher 2.
Nope, just a piece of pretzel.
Okay.
Same thing, you know.
So The Witcher 2 came out for 360.
It
I
did.
already own this game. This is the enhanced edition that has hours and hours more content. Way. And even though I already own it on PC and the upgrade is free for PC users, my computer had a little bit of trouble running the game, so I wanted to play it on something that maybe didn't have any issues with it. So I got the 360 version. Well, that's the only other version there is. It's not available on PS3, period. Exclusive. But I picked it up at full price, like Genius does, even though he already owns the game.
And he wants to buy
This is
Trials
why we
Evolutions.
have nice things, you know?
Yeah. Well, I had paid it off many, many months ago.
Okay.
I had already had it paid for, and I was like, okay, well, why not? Anyway, I've been playing that, and while it is one of the greatest RPGs you will play, the port has a few issues.
Okay.
For those of you not familiar with what witching is and how to get your witch on, when you are a witcher, you are kind of a mutant, kind of a non-human in a way. You've mutated, you're stronger than everybody else for the most part. You can take incredible amounts of pain. Hey, the dog's barking.
You
It's
can
wonderful.
bark like a dog.
Yeah, did you hear that? That was my mutation. I can bark out of my ear.
That was Geralt.
So, you're kind of a special dude, and people don't
Uh-huh.
really like you all that much for the most part because, you know, it's kind of like
My
if
real
there's
life?
well, if there's a woman in a backwards hillbilly town that is Wiccan and everybody else is Christian, you kind of get looked at the same way. They're like, "Oh, well, we wish we could kick your ass, but you're kind of weird, and we don't know what you could possibly do. So we hate you anyway." Meh. So that's kind of the reception you get. You are the closest bodyguard to the king of the realm, and unfortunately, like all good bodyguard stories, the king perishes very quickly, and people think it's your fault. That's life. That's life as a bodyguard. So you go over the land to clear your name, and it sounds generic, but
I think it's more of a revenge as opposed to clear your name, because you don't really give a fuck. You just want to kill the guy.
I don't remember. Did you play Witcher 2?
I have it on the PC.
Did you play it?
Yeah, I played about half of it.
About half of it? Okay. Because what you said is a little off, but that's cool. I just wanted to... You might know something I don't, but... Anywho. Dog sniffing my shoe.
Thanks.
It completely throws me off. I can't perform in front of the dog. But it's one of the things that sets this game very, very far apart is that the story is not afraid to be really dark, as in, oh hey look, we're invading this castle, and while we're at it, I guess everyone's raping everybody else because that's what people do when they're reduced to their base desires and instincts.
When they're raping and pillaging something?
Yeah, they're literally raping, and you're like, oh, I thought that was a figure of speech, even though I knew it wasn't, but I kind of hoped it was. But it's really, like, unpleasant. So, it doesn't really pull any punches. You see, like, frontal nudity in the first 3 minutes of the game. So you're like, oh, well, I guess they can do that. And it's all downhill from there.
So that happened. Okay.
Pretty much. And, it's grim, it's dark, and it's serious, and it's, in a way, and it's hard to use this when it comes to a fantasy game, but in a way it's realistic, as people behave like real human beings in the way that they respond to you. You get benefits, or perhaps bad things depending on choices that you make, and they're not the simple ones either. It's things like, you need to go and harvest these berries. Do you want me to come with you? And if you say yes, then maybe they're not available to do something else and later on in the story because you went and harvested berries and they got bit by a snake or something like that. So you really play it how you want and don't worry about the consequences. That's just the way the story's going to take you, and if you go that route, it's not like you have to sit there and puzzle. Do I really want to do this, or do I don't really want to bring them with me? Things like that. It's kind of cool.
Sometimes you won't normally notice what the consequences are. Things just happen naturally, and you won't even think, okay, well that guy's not available anymore because I used him up. It just evolves that way, so it's not like a real clear-cut choice. It just kind of happens. I want to know what's the user interface differences between the PC and the Xbox.
The controller support is improved, and that's about all you need to know.
Okay, menu system easy enough to go through?
Yeah, but no one cares about that stuff.
I just did. I asked, so I obviously care.
That's just a controller. Everything works. That's pretty much it. I mean, I haven't had any trouble getting anything to happen, So it's really a non-issue for me because everything's doable on a 360 controller, and that's all that mattered to me. The port does have quite a few glitches, though, and a unfortunate checkpointing system that is not so good because they are used to PC gamers hitting a button to save their game and not going to a menu. So they do not auto-save as much as you would like. So you'll need to pay attention, and you'll need to make sure you save before you quit every time, just in case. It's not the worst checkpoint system ever, but you end up redoing some stuff you don't want to if you don't keep up with it. And also, play on easy. The story's worth it, so don't get stuck.
Okay.
What's with that?
What's she barking at?
Man, I don't know. I'm trying to talk. She farted in my room and then walked out. And it is the most part.
So she's laughing. Okay.
Your dog's an asshole.
That might be. If you guys don't mind holding on for a second, Doc can talk about his experience with The Witcher 2 while I figure out what she's yelling at.
Hold on. Do you have any other thoughts on The Witcher 2, Sonny? Otherwise, I'm just going to move on.
Incredible game. You need to play it. Even with all the problems that I mentioned, you need to play this game if you like fantasy. This blows all other fantasy stories out of the water. It is very important that you play it. Even with its problems, it is still a fantastic game and worth your time. Every bit. Highly recommended. 2 giant thumbs up, up, up. Get it.
Agreed.
All right. Fantastic. Okay.
Thanks for your insight. Agreed.
So I guess we can start by comparing Witcher 2 to this next game that you have played, Doc. Nier, is that how I pronounce that?
That's how I pronounce it. I have not heard that word yet in the game, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it yet. But yeah, it's a Square Enix joint,
Right.
Right. It was weird because I booted up the game and right there, like the opening cinema, all I hear is, "Why is you dumbass?" And I'm like, "What? What? Why is some lady yelling at some guy and calling him a dumbass?" And like the opening cinema, there's dumbass, shit, fuck.
Whoa.
So it's a M-rated Square Enix RPG. But then I started playing the game, and it's comes across as like a best dad simulator. Because you are trying to save your daughter from some type of disease.
Okay.
Some mysterious disease. But like, she's in the beginning. They don't really know specifically if it's like life-threatening. There's like no cure for it, disease type of thing. But it's it's like daughter's sick, and like all the villagers like, "Oh, you're such a good father. oh, you're so good to your daughter. Oh, I can't believe you're doing this much work for your daughter. It's just like, oh my god. They're just trying to build up, like, this guy's the best dad in the world. He can hit things with a pipe, and he just loves his daughter.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I haven't really gotten into it that far. I've found one of the main characters, which is a grimoire, a demonic book. That talks to you and knows some things and can do some shit, but I haven't really gone too far in. It's just like the beginning is a best dad ever simulator. And it does a weird thing in which looks like you're playing as the main character, and then it flashes forward 1,300 years into the future, and then you're playing as your character, but everything's ass backwards because it's like one of those cliched RPG things where there's an astronomical event, technology is lost, and you have to start over again or some shit like that. It's one of those cliched things in which, we're digging up all these old books, and these guys were really smart back then, and I guess the beginning of the game, before you flash forward in time, was kind of that error, but I'm still kind of in the dark about what the story is. It's a action RPG, so you swing at things, and it's rather basic, very, very button mashy. Not excellent combat like
Amalur.
Amalur, yeah. That was great action RPG. This is kind of boring so far, but maybe with the book it will help me out getting new abilities and stuff.
Yeah, do you have any kind of magic, or is it just kind of hacking away?
The book is the magic, so right now I can shoot little pew-pews from the book. It's like I want to say I can shoot like little balls, but that sounds terrible. So pew-pews, which is even worse. That's how my mind works.
Balls is like better.
Balls. I don't want to shoot balls. That sounds too dirty. I'm just gonna shoot.
I'm
gonna shoot pew-pews. Yeah, there's like orbs, and then they change it to different shapes sometimes depending on what you're pressing.
Pew-pews indeed, everybody.
But like the beginning, it showed you a lot of the moves you can do. Like it gave you all the abilities, and then they take it away, like a lot of games do. So like sometimes he could bring out like a big ass claw and hit things, or throw lances, or explode like an earthquake. So that's what the book's going to do. It gives you all those interesting magic abilities. But yeah, it's all right so far.
And everyone says the music is so wonderful. What do you think, or are you just kind of not so impressed?
The music hasn't stuck out to me yet, so it's not bad music, but verdict's out on whether it's excellent music. Because if you're playing a game and you notice the music, that means it's either really good music or really bad music. It's one or the other. If you're playing a game and the music just kind of washes by, like Castlevania Lords of Shadow, that was another game in which the music was supposed to be really, really good, but it kind of just washed away. Like it was there in the background. It wasn't as noticeable as like any other Castlevania game. So I haven't really noticed the music yet in Nier. So maybe eventually. The environments are pretty cool. They do some interesting blowbacks and stuff, but like close up, your character models aren't that great looking. But so far, so good. I'll play some more.
Okay. Have you been playing anything else this week?
Not really. I don't think so. I think that pretty much sums it up, besides maybe some Mass Effect multiplayer, but, we played all that. I'm supposed to get back into Demon Souls sometime, because the servers are going to shut off, so we're going to try and make a run on beating some dudes.
Yeah,
hurry.
May, what is it?
I think the 1st.
May 1st. What?
At the 31st they are off.
May 31st or April 31st?
May 31st.
Oh, okay. So
if you're interested in playing some Demon Souls, you have the rest of April and all of May, and then no more.
There's always Dark Souls.
But there's always Dark Souls, which Sonny doesn't like as much.
Demon Souls is a better game, no doubt.
See, that's what I said. Sonny, have you played anything else that you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I put a little bit more time into Yakuza Dead Souls. It's still fun, but it feels like I just played another Yakuza game. Except like the fact that everything's all zombified and you're using guns all the time, for some reason, it still feels like a normal Yakuza game that I've been playing. It's weird. You would expect it to be a big departure or something, but fundamentally, it still feels like the same game, just instead of beating dudes up as you walk around, the tourist simulator, you shoot people on your way. That's the way it goes. It's weird. It's a weird game, and I do like it, but I expected something a little bit more derivative. Because they ripped off almost every single Left 4 Dead monster there is. It's amazing. Here is the tank. Hang on, dog's going to go running. There she goes. My roommate just got home, so it's happy times.
I am also happy.
That's good. Do you want me to call her in here? She will not appear on the show.
She will not talk to us. Yes,
nope.
That will be worthwhile to all of our listeners.
I can call her in here and say, do you want to say hi? And I'll tell you that she shook her head and walked away.
Well, you can just pretend like you did that.
Yeah.
We'll believe you.
Next week, I'm looking to play some Bloodforge, which is an XBLA game, as well as maybe some others. And, I'll have more to talk about next week, no doubt.
No doubt.
HP, did you mention anything about NCAA Football 2012?
I have not.
Maybe 3 football fans that listen. I'm one of them. Hello.
Right. I was going to be real brief about this because I don't think the audience is in the market for a college football game.
Hey, the podcast is games only, and this is a game inside a game, so it's got to be good.
Right? They have... fundamentally, it's the same gameplay as it's kind of always been. They have done some pretty interesting things with the presentation in terms of kind of a highlight package of one player. Like they will talk about a specific player doing something well during the game, and they will have kind of a highlight package of that player, if it's a defensive player, like getting sacks and interceptions or whatever, and an offensive player making big plays and scoring touchdowns. And that's kind of neat because it's getting closer to mirroring the actual coverage on ESPN. And that's the other thing. ESPN is all over this game. They have made no bones about the relationship between EA and ESPN.
They've had some issues in the past, too. Not really issues, but there have been achievements named after their sponsors. Like, here's the Old Spice Red Zone Award. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, really? That's the name of the achievement? Okay.
Yeah. One of the... If we can call this an innovation, something I appreciate that they have added to this iteration is the fact that they will have different sponsors for different games, so it's not the same, like, I forget what Madden version it was, but it was always the Old Spice Red Zone all the time. And now the games in this version can be brought to you by Lowe's or Nissan,
Butterfinger,
or it's a bunch of different sponsors. So it's not like it kind of takes you out of the experience if every game you play kind of feels the same. So at the very least, that's another thing they've done to make it feel different.
Now, do they you said they got the ESPN affiliation, do they have a college game day before you play?
No, but there is kind of like ESPN story, like I want to call them newspaper articles, but that doesn't even make sense. But they have like online articles where it's like this team is going to play against this team this week, and who's going to win. And then Herb Street will have his picture next to one of the teams. Whoever he, quote, thinks, unquote, will win.
That's good enough, though. That's a pretty decent start.
Yeah, again, it gets better in each iteration. I don't think I've played... I certainly haven't owned a game like this since 2008. So it's one of those things where, if you go back to the series every 4, 5, 6, 7 years or so, I mean, the game's going to be slightly different in a lot of ways. I
think they're at the point where they can't really improve the gameplay that much, but they can improve the presentation.
Yeah. And there are a few kind of buggy issues with this as well. I had one cutscene where they were talking about my team, and and they showed a bunch of my players and then one player on the other team, like, in my huddle. and I went, that's not right.
I think that's a flag.
I really do wish they would take 2 years to put out these games and then, like, have an update roster type pack, on the odd years.
For college, they can do that because they don't license the players' names, right? It's just quarterback, running back.
Yeah.
Maybe they can make a resemblance, but they can't use the person's name. So
Correct.
I could see this being every 2 years. Fine. Like for Madden, when the roster updates, that's probably why they want to push it out every year. But yeah, there's no real reason because Alabama is still going to be Alabama.
Well, God, I don't want to get too much into it, but last year Nebraska joined the Big Ten, and next year you have like Texas A&M's going to the SEC, and
Syracuse is going to the ACC,
right.
Stuff like that.
So that would be a reason to have NCAA Football 2013 because all of those conferences are going to be wrong.
But normally stuff like that doesn't happen.
But yeah, normally stuff like that doesn't happen, and I would think there would behoove this series to wait a couple years, really innovate, and then come out with a new game. But I'm having a good time. It's mindless fun for me, and that's kind of what I needed this week.
Let's ask you 2 questions here.
1.
To watch, do you prefer professional or college football?
Professional.
To play, do you prefer professional or college?
It has gone back and forth.
Yeah, I kind of like the NCAA games more sometimes. Like, they feel better at times.
Yeah.
They have a lot more flavor to them in a way. The Madden games are about presentation overall, for the most part. Mm-hmm. And the college ones actually bring some of their rivalries into it. And I really like that. Sorry, I had to cough.
Do they still have that home field advantage boost meter and stuff like that, or?
I don't think there's a meter, but I do think it affects. I think it affects the opposing team in kind of
momentum. Yeah,
in kind of apparent ways. I don't think you're gonna see it, but I do think the stats kind of go down. Maybe if you're keeping track of your ratings, they might go down the louder the stadium gets, that kind of thing. But I don't know. I think
it would be cool to get a nice list of all the different features that came out in Madden games only to be removed the next few years. I'd like to see what all they got rid of. I know they got rid of like QB vision. And did they get rid of the truck stick?
No, I think that's still in. Although most of the time you just juke left or right rather than trying to run somebody over.
I'd love to see football games really have a complete redesign and see, like, so they don't even play anything like they do now. See if there's even a feasible, like, way to do it.
Well, I played, this is irrelevant, but I played Backbreaker or whatever that other game was, and that played kind of fairly different. It used a lot of thumbstick thing, like throwing the ball was all thumbstick, so you would pull it back and then push it forward in a direction to one of your receivers, and that was horrible. That was terrible.
All right.
But you kind of like what I think Fight Night does all thumbsticks, the boxing game.
Yeah.
I think left hook, right hook, all that is thumbstick as well.
It's a lot more organic in that game.
Which
though.
but that was a big difference because normally it was space buttons to throw the different hooks and maybe you hold a shoulder button to do a different move. But that was like a big leap.
The most recent Fight Night actually had analog punches patched into the game, I believe.
Oh,
or it might have been vice versa. There are 2 control schemes, basically the classic and then the analogs, and one of them got patched in. So it's a split camp. But hey, enough about sports. Let's talk a little bit of news here, okay? I got something I need to drop on you guys.
Oh, shit.
Sure.
The story producer for the Dead Space franchise has said Gears has literally the worst writing in games. He was asked whether or not a story can ruin a good game, and he said, "Story can only ruin a game for people who care about story, so it's a conditional answer. For instance, Gears of War. It contains atrocious, offensive violations of story basics, yet it doesn't seem to ruin it for many people. It's literally the worst writing in games, but it has no ill effects." As a writer and a entertainer, HP, what do you think of this quote? Gears of War contains atrocious, offensive violations of story basics. Does it?
When the first two came out, I was harping on how bad the story was. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. I'll never forget.
I think they redeemed themselves in 3. I think 3 was a fairly good story, and it wrapped up kind of the first 2 games very well. I thought 3 was pretty impressive. But yeah, 1 and 2 were terrible stories.
Okay,
I think that statement's a bit grandiose, though, to say atrocious, worst ever. I was like,
not worst ever.
That's a bit over the top.
Well, here, the second part of that was, it's the worst writing in games, but it seems to have no ill effects. Do you agree with that, or did it really affect you guys at all? I mean, when does story make it so that even a really bad story doesn't matter?
See, this is weird because we all enjoyed the campaign.
Yeah,
the story mode is important to us.
It's not like
even
Battlefield.
When it's bad.
Yeah, it's not like Battlefield 3, in which it's just a fucking terrible campaign. We just play for the multi. So
how does Gears manage to get a pass while Metal Gear Solid 4, for instance, does not for me?
Well, because I think that was much more story per gameplay. Metal Gear Solid 4 was just punch you over the head with story, while Gears of War, it's a lot of gameplay, and they'll interject some story here or there, but a lot of the story they interject is while you're actually playing. There's not a lot of cutscenes.
I guess my question's more of, why would Gears get a pass from most people, and other games would not?
I think Gears is really fun. I think if your game is fun enough, it doesn't matter what the story is, even if there isn't any story.
Now, with Modern Warfare 2, that's one that is a mess of a story. Modern Warfare 2, good lord. But was that another one where it didn't really matter, or did you look back on it and be like, "Yeah, the single player was horrible"?
Well, it's because it's like a roller coaster. You're having fun. Crazy things are going on around you. Nothing really happens in the end because you start at the same place you begin, but it's still fun.
Modern Warfare, that series, I look at as Michael Bay movies, which are not good movies. They are not good movies. But man, if you're sitting there with popcorn, it's like, this is fun. Lots of things are exploding. Lots of stuff is going on.
Bright lights,
flashy things. It's pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, I think something story-centric like a Mass Effect. If Mass Effect had the kind of writing that Gears had, I don't think anyone would be interested in it. The RPGs with bad stories are death sentences.
This is true.
But basically, I mean, Gears is like a shooter, and a shooter with a bad story is kind of par for the course. Maybe that's why it gets a pass, because there haven't been many, I think BioShock was probably my favorite first-person shooter story, cohesive unit game.
Okay. Would you say, just for comparison's sake, that Dead Space is a better written story?
I'm only about halfway through the first Dead Space. I have to go back and play Dead Space.
I still need to play the second one. But yeah, I think it's a more well put together story. That's a strange sentence I just said, but it's better put together. It's like the little tidbits they have in Dead Space, the extra little audio clips you can play and stuff like that is develops the story better than in Gears. So it's more interesting in that aspect. But just in general, the story, aliens, they're taking over bodies and killing people.
Yeah, it has to follow horror game / horror movie tropes, and that's not a very interesting genre in terms of story structure. In all honesty, you have to put in stuff that scares people, so it's like, you know, a stupid thing that happens that makes you have to go off by yourself. Okay? Yeah. In this dark corridor. I mean, you have to put stuff like that in your horror movie, game, whatever. And it's really transparent, and it's not very interesting in terms of story. So I wouldn't necessarily judge that story based on you know, the genre itself. It's an interesting enough concept. How's that?
Just like the way they present it is obviously better than Gears, because the little tidbits here or there while you're playing the game is interesting enough. You can skip it, you can go ahead and listen to it. They might tell you kind of what's going on. Maybe you killed somebody that wrote this thing, but got transformed into a amalgam of flesh and bones.
Okay. One other piece of news I wanted to run by you guys. I seem to remember one of you saying you watched the show Archer and you really enjoyed it.
That's me.
Yeah, it wasn't
That's
me.
You? Okay, well, guess what, HP? An Archer table is probably coming to Pinball Effects too.
Okay.
Would you buy it to play a pinball game of Archer? Come on, I thought you liked it.
I do like.
They only run like
$3.
Like they're cheap.
Pinball.
They're like $3 or $4 for a table. It's nothing.
See, I can envision it having some pretty funny stuff in it, because I think that show is pretty funny. But
I've never watched it. You think I'd enjoy it?
Yeah, it's
TV talk.
Episode 3.
Episode 3. Yeah, it's he's in the first season. He's basically like this James Bond kind of character, but he's a little more incompetent and a little more drunk and a little more focused on sex all the time.
So James Bond.
So James Bond, but like two extremes.
Less professional.
Yes. And yeah, they are. God, see the stuff you post online though that you say, "Man, this has me laughing." It's not it's not funny. So I don't know if stuff that I find funny you would find funny.
Well, you know, it's episodic, so maybe I'll give it a try.
Sure.
And one last bit, God of War Ascension was leaked by Amazon.
That's right.
Yeah, not God of War 4, but it is for the PS3, and people are talking that there is going to be a multiplayer mode, 8 on 8.
Whoa.
Yeah, you play as different classes, like a barbarian and other things.
For different armies, and you can customize your guy. Is anyone really interested? Something about God of War I feel very satisfied with. You know, how many games can you play on the PS3 right now? 5 God of War games, I believe.
Oh,
there's 1, 2, and 3, and then 2 PSP ones.
Collection.
Oh wow.
So even though there's only been one real PS3 game for God of War, I feel burned out and not really interested. But they say you know, a multiplayer mode for it, and we all go, oh boy! But we did that for Mass Effect also, so who knows?
Yeah. I have a bad feeling that it's going to be like, at the end of the God of War games, after you beat them, and there are those, like, trials. I forget what they're called.
Oh, yeah, they'd, like, throw you in the ring and you gotta...
Yeah, I have a bad feeling it's going to be something like that.
See, I don't trust any PlayStation 3 exclusive multiplayer games. That's just me. Cause usually
Demon's Souls?
Usually, I don't consider that a multiplayer game, though. It's... That's a bit of a unique setup, but like multiplayer-focused game.
Like Journey?
Yeah, like Journey. I don't trust that shit. I ain't dropping my money on that shit.
Okay, good to know.
When you go online, user acceptance may vary or whatever. But yeah, like Mag was terrible. I don't.
Such a
The concept was great, but it just put together.
About Mag for a second. I'm so disappointed that game didn't catch on. I wanted it to be good so badly. Because yes, the concept is great. I want somebody else to pick up that concept and go with it. Okay.
But everyone wants to be the asshole sniper that hides and kills people.
That's probably
those
true.
people suck. Those people suck. I hate them.
Nobody likes the idea of they should change their class to something helpful. Like if I'm playing Mass Effect 3 Multi and I see, there's 3 infiltrators, I'm going to be something else.
Right?
Just because,
Way to ruin it.
Low variety.
All infiltrator gold run. Let's do this. Yeah.
Man, I actually stopped playing Mass Effect 3 Multi, and I didn't even intend to. And now that I've been without it for like a week, I don't feel the hook anymore.
Oh, okay.
Well, just you wait until we get a crew together. We assemble.
Yeah, if we assemble, we're going to be assembling in Diablo 3's free beta weekend, which is going on HP. Do you have any interest in Diablo 3?
Tangentially. I have not played any of the Diablo games.
Okay, it's a loot war game like Borderlands, but without the shoots. Instead, it's with the choppy chops and the magic minky dinks.
And the pewy pews.
Yeah.
I like choppy chops and pewy pews.
That works. It is free for the weekend, so, I mean, you could go to battle.net, HP, sign up for battle.net, and...
Battle.net/HP? That's weird.
Go to battle.net, sign up, and download the beta for the weekend and see if it would be something you'd enjoy. I mean, you've got this PC that can play games, but you rarely play games on it, so maybe you should put it through its paces. I downloaded it. I'd like to try it.
See, I'm probably not going to do it this weekend because I played the beta in November.
He's going hipster on us.
Well, I played the beta in November, so I'm like, I could do it again, but I haven't got a good idea of what the game is.
You've never heard of it, have you?
Oh yes, I played the Gamma. Actually, it wasn't the beta; it was the Gamma. Can you believe that?
The Gamma.
So the one after?
Shit,
what?
You had no idea was going down. They're giving you the old stuff right now. I was on that new shit.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you. Your glasses tell me that you're not lying. All right, well, I think that's all the news I've got to vomit at you guys.
That was
thank you.
Amount of projectile news.
Oh, okay. What?
I said.
Oh, all right, great. So with that, I think that's our podcast for the week, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, fantastic. So that has been episode 34 of the Games Only podcast. Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate your comments on YouTube and iTunes.
Anywhere you hear us.
Anywhere you hear us, yes, please.
On the bathroom stall and
I knew we should have put our podcast on that bathroom stall, and it is paying off.
I dubbed it to a cassette tape, and I just put a boombox out of reach on loop, so it automatically rewinds. It's awesome.
Oh man, that's a great idea. Yeah, I have driven...
Sadly, the only cassette tape I had was an Eazy-E tape, so I had to race over it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's too bad. That's NWA shit. What was I... Oh, right! Yes, goodbye! I'd like to thank my co-host, Dr. Gumar.
Thank you, thanks for listening.
And Sunflower 4000.
Have a pleasant month.
All right. We will, and I have been HP1703. Thank you again very much for listening. We will talk to you next week. Or at you. Talk at you next week.
Yeah, stay tuned for bloopers.
God damn it.
This is Let's go away. This is your courage chief. The course is really tough.